Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Ghost Rider issue 18, cover dated October 1991. There is a cover caption just above the title logo, and that is the resurrection of Barbara Ketch. So that's quite the teaser. Does it take place inside this issue? Well, we'll find out shortly. The cover is not by Mark Texeira, instead it is by Nelson DeCastro, a painted cover. An unusual choice. Back in the day, back in 1991, you didn't see too many painted covers. You would see them on the likes of Wizard magazine, but unusual to see it on a regular Marvel or DC comic. It's a very nice painting indeed by Nelson. Not terribly dramatic or anything like that, but it would have stood out from the shelves in the local comic shop or the newsagents or newsstand back in 1991. Cover dated October means this comic came out in August, and what was happening in August? Well, it was the big launch of Adjectiveless X-Men #1 with those 4 different covers and the deluxe version by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. So Ghost Rider definitely looking for some attention in the middle of all of that mutant mayhem and madness of the summer of 1991. Let's open this one up to the splash page, and that is by Mark Texeira. So, the creative team here for a story entitled Lost Souls: Howard Mackie writer, Tex artist, so doing pencils and inks, Janice Chang on letters, and Gregory Wright rounding out the regular creative team on colours. And here we have a big cool image of the Ghost Rider pulling a wheelie and Johnny Blaze doing the same. It's very nice, it's very cool. I love all the details of the flame, the licking flame around the wheel of Ghost Rider's motorcycle, of course. And in the narrative captions, we just get basic information about Johnny Blaze and Ghost Rider. Let's turn the page and see where they're going. We get another big full-page image focused on Johnny and Ghost Rider. They're in Cypress Hill Cemetery, and Johnny says as he lights up a cigarette, "This is it, Ghost Rider. After tonight, you won't be seeing my smiling face around here. Just remember, I'm going to be looking in on you from time to time. And if it turns out that you actually are," and he was about to say Zarathos, but Ghost Rider cuts him off and says, "You don't have to finish your threat, Blaze. I am confident that I'm not the demon that once possessed you." And Johnny replies, "Good for you. Just remember that I've got the hardware to take you down if you are," because now his double shotgun, his sawn-off shotgun, fires mystical fire, hellfire from it. "But after all we've been through, I kind of hope that you're not." Ghost Rider says, very matter-of-factly, "I will find out who I am, and then your fears can be put to rest." "Thanks," says Blaze, and I imagine that's the point that he lights his cigarette. This is a great image here, great upshot 3/4 profile on Ghost Rider's skull. I think it's really, really well done. Everybody's working really well here in the creative team. This is another great contribution of Texeira's to the transformations of Danny Ketch into and out of Ghost Rider, where now he's transforming back to Danny, and we have this like fleshy goop that falls on Ghost Rider's skull, and then it covers the face with Danny's flesh there. I think it's really inventive, kind of disgusting and horrifying as well. Really like it. So Ghost Rider says, "Thanks are not necessary to Blaze. The answers I seek are more for myself and Daniel." So the transformation occurs. Johnny here says his goodbye to Daniel. "I hope you and Ghost Rider both find what you're looking for, kid, and I hope you aren't disappointed by what you find." Danny, with his head bowed, says, "Thanks for all the help, Blaze. I think but Johnny's off. Don't go all sentimental on me, Dan. We'll be seeing each other again, so take care." And off he rides at speed through the headstones in Cypress Hills, and he's heading back to, I think it's New Mexico, to be reunited with his wife Roxanne and his 2 children. "I'm sure we will," says Danny, using the first person plural. So turn the page, and Danny's on his bike with his helmet on, riding through the night. Love the speed lines here, really, really cool. Love the kind of hovering skull of the Ghost Rider, and Danny's deep in thought. He thinks to himself, "I've got to get home and get some rest. The past months have been totally crazy. Blackout almost killed me. Hobgoblin showed up and kidnapped Mom. That brought Spider-Man on the scene, and the Zodiac Killer is still on the loose. And this Reverend Stidge character that my mother has fallen in with. So we get a tight close-up on Danny's narrowed eye there as he thinks about Stidge. Turn the page. Great colours on this page. He's doing a massive leap over the steps there, blowing up this girl's skirt. I'm sure her male companion there doesn't have a problem with that. And Danny thinks here to himself, what's wrong with the world today? With all the drugs, senseless violence and killings, is it any wonder that people like my mom are turning to phony preachers like Stidge for comfort? There's something not right about that one, and I'm going to find out what it is. If he's planning on harming any innocents, I'm going to take him down and all the others like him. And then Danny catches himself as he lands there on the pavement. What am I thinking? I'm really getting into my moonlighting as the spirit of vengeance, but I don't want to go too far. The whole point is for me to be the clear-headed one, the rational one. Can't let Ghost Rider's fury carry over to me. I've got to help Ghost Rider get more organised in his pursuit of these killers, and I'm sure a phony preacher isn't going to make the top of the priority list. Well, we'll see if that is the case or not. Love the colours on this page, love the storytelling. It's just a shame that the cyan tab here covers over Dan's head, his helmeted head, as he jumps the bike off the steps there. I bet that Texeira wasn't expecting that in the finished product. It'd be interesting to see the original art. Turn the page. Speaking of Reverend Stidge, in the cellar of a farmhouse in Millbrook, New York. So here he is with a torch in his hand. Master, he asks, and who is this creature, this man, sat here on this chair with his head at his knees almost? What do you have for me, Stidge? And then we've got these red eyes. Nothing, not today, but Master, tomorrow, Stidge says hesitantly. And then he gets blasted, it seems. Tomorrow may be too late, exclaims the figure in shadow. It's a great page. The colours are really contributing to the horror mood. And the figure there is completely in darkness. You failed me, Stidge, he says. I've given you powers far beyond anything of which you have dreamt. Before you met me, you were nothing but a crazed evangelist with a penchant for the flesh. I've made you what you are, and I can unmake you as easily. So there's some kind of Faustian bargain that Reverend Stidge has made, and the figure in the darkness says, bring me that which I desire. I've the power, I must have the power to learn of what I was, what I can be again. Leave me and do not return unless you are successful, my sin eater. So who or what is this? If the Ghost Rider is determined to find out his origins, this creature too is determined to find out its origins. Later in Cypress Hills, Brooklyn, Danny's there putting some dinner on the table. Where's his mother? She's in Barb's room. This is all really well drawn by Texeira, like a 19-year-old girl's room, all in pink, of course. The looking glass there, everything, and the mother's sat on the bed and she's weeping. Mom, we've got to let her go, says Danny. There is nothing that we or anyone else can do to bring her back. We owe it to her memory to let her rest in peace. So Barbara is haunting her mother, figuratively speaking, in her inability to get over her grief. How can I let her go, Daniel, she asks. How can I let go of my baby? She is part of me, just as you are. If there is even the slightest chance that I can bring her back to us, I'm going to take it. Wouldn't you? I have to keep trying. It's eating me alive. It's eating out my insides, Daniel. I can't go on without Barbara. This is great stuff from Mackie. This is really good from Mackie. Like, he's exploring something that is real life, inconsolable grief, the inability of a mother to get over the death, the predeceasing of her child, and all the pictures there. But if you pay close attention, there's a family portrait there of Danny's mother, Barbara, and himself. A trio of them. No father though, and many's the time I've mentioned in these reviews that there is a yawning gap in terms of our information regarding the Ketches. What of Danny's father? Who is he? Who was he? It's a question that hangs in silence between the panels, if you get what I'm saying. The phone goes, or not the phone, the doorbell. And it's one of these huge hulking figures that are associates of Reverend Stidge. This is the chauffeur. And Danny says, you're from Stitch, get lost and leave my mother alone. And the guy just basically pops him in the face. And the mother there in distress, she says, I'm so sorry, Daniel, but they're going to bring Barbara back to us. Reverend Stidge has promised. Please stay here, don't interfere, and we, Barbara and I, will both be home later. So, could the cover caption be fulfilled? The resurrection of Barbara Ketch. So she's taken off in the limousine. Danny runs out in silhouette there, gets on the bike, great speed lines again, great colours from Gregory Wright. It's nighttime once again. Danny's thinking as he's hunched over the handlebars of the bike, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to let some con man ruin my mother's life by feeding on her false hopes. I'm not going to let her be hurt again. So where is the limousine going? It is going to Mount Hebron, the oldest cemetery in Cypress Hills. So I really like these local details that Howard Mackie is writing into the story because, of course, he's from Brooklyn. That's where he lives. And here we get this huge anchor panel of Reverend Stidge there with his cruciform jumpsuit that he's wearing with his attendants in front of a mausoleum. Welcome, Mrs. Ketch, he declares. I'm so pleased you could join us for our ceremonies. And how are you tonight, my dear? And here, look at the state of this guy in the foreground. He's going to play a role in subsequent pages, but I imagine that Mark Texeira enjoyed drawing that interesting looking face of the old man. And it reminds me of Leonardo da Vinci in his sketchbook, where he would go out into Florence or Milan and sketch the interesting faces of the physically handicapped, the aged, the ugly, because those kinds of physiognomies are terribly interesting to draw and intriguing also on paper. But great lighting as well, rim lighting there from Gregory Wright too. We've got a headstone there, R.I.P. Steve Biazzi. Steve Biazzi is Mark Texeira's background inker, so he's giving himself a little shout out on the headstones in this issue. So Danny's mother emerges from the limousine. The guy is all courtesy. Tonight's first order of business is with another soul, seeking to be united with a lost loved one, he says as he kisses Mrs. Ketch's hand. And then look at the smile on him there. Very smarmy, very confident. Mr. Edelman, step forward, please. So it's the guy with the big ears. Yes, Reverend? Are you a sinner? And the man says yes. Will you allow me to consume your sins before they consume you? So what kind of sin eating does Reverend Stidge perform? So we get a silhouetted panel here of the old man entering into the mausoleum. We got magenta background here, a humming going on, and then a scream. And the old people, they get panicked. What's happening in there? It sounds painful. We better help them. But the thugs tell the people to stand back. The Reverend's work is not done. And Danny's watching from the bushes, and you can see that his nose is wrinkled there. He's in anger. It's really well done, but the line work reminds me of Todd McFarlane's. And I've said before that I'm absolutely convinced that Texeira was looking at Todd McFarlane's work in this era. Love the details on the leaves here as well. Really, really excellent stuff. And Danny's thinking, I can't let my mom get too close to this guy. So Reverend Stidge emerges from the mausoleum, wiping his mouth with a napkin. Now then, he says, Mrs. Ketch, shall we? And we see the blood on the napkin. And he holds his hand out to her. Again, it just strikes me that Texeira might have been using some photo reference here, just like his mentor Neil Adams would have done. And then he puts his hand out towards Mrs. Ketch as she's about to enter the mausoleum. Oh, no, my dear lady, not in this mausoleum. We must leave Mr. Edelman with his loved ones. He's been reunited with them and couldn't possibly be disturbed. So there's a double meaning to all of this phraseology. No, he says, it is far better that we travel to another part of the cemetery. There you can be united with your daughter. Let us walk together. The night air will do us good, and the people follow as well. It is said that it helps build an appetite. So that's pretty ominous. So when everybody's left, Danny goes into the mausoleum. He sniffs there. I love the way that the end of his nose is raised in that inset panel by Texeira. And then he slips on something slippery and wet and sticky on the floor. And he's also getting the smell. And he comes out of the mausoleum. He's coughing. Got to get outside for some fresh air. The stink and the floor covered with something slippery. And then he sees the bloodied napkin on the ground. Blood, he touches it. So will there be a transformation to the Ghost Rider? Normally that's what would happen, innocent blood being spilled. The bike is glowing. The bike, he sees the glow. I'm transformed. So then we have that transition the other way now, where Danny's flesh melts off his head. It's horrific. It's brilliant. And the Ghost Rider looks inside the mausoleum and he sees what's happened in there, and then rides off on the bike after Reverend Stidge. Let's turn the page, get past Eric Larson's art there. There's Steve Biazzi again, giving himself a call out for the background inks. And here is Reverend Stidge. And Mrs. Ketch, she's kneeling down in front of Barbara's, her daughter's gravestone. And Stidge here, he takes out an amulet that looks a little bit like the eye of Agamotto. But I would say the way we're meant to interpret this is it's the evil eye. Prepare to give your sins up to me, he says, and you will soon be with Barbara. And Mrs. Ketch says, I do miss her so much, and then the eyes go up in the back of her head. So what's this guy up to? Nothing good, of course. So we've got a glow there. Of course you do, he says. Now turn yourself over to me. And then his hand is transformed, the fingers into claws. Let your sins flow to me, he says. Soon you'll be reunited with your daughter. And then the claw strikes towards her throat for eternity, but the chains wrap around his wrist just at the last minute. And of course it's the Ghost Rider who drags him off to the side. No, the bond mustn't be broken, he exclaims. And Mrs. Ketch, well, she realizes she was in trouble there. No, she exclaims, what are you? And here we have the Ghost Rider. Great top-down shot here. The Ghost Rider has brought the body of Mr. Edelman. Yes, Stidge, what are you? And Stidge draws his clawed hand back. He says, you are from the Master. He's displeased with me. I knew it. Please don't hurt me. I was about to succeed here. You can help me. We can both feast. Ghost Rider runs towards him. That's great action in the figure work from Texeira. No, Stidge, exclaims the Ghost Rider. I'm here to help you. So the Ghost Rider is getting a bit of personality now that Danny's cooperating with him. I'm here to give you a taste of the pain you've inflicted. So he throws him on the ground. The pain of the innocent hits him again. The innocent, asks Stidge, you cannot be from the Master. So the Master, whoever he is concerned with the guilty. I will kill you in his name and gnaw on your bones. Let's turn the page. And he's slashing with that clawed hand at Ghost Rider's leather jacket, ripping it apart. As you did with Mr. Edelman, asks Ghost Rider. Yes, he was a tasty morsel, replies Stidge, though a bit stringy. So we're inferring that Stidge is a literal cannibal. And you, are there any bits of flesh on those glowing bones of yours for me? Asked Stidge. And what mystical energies do you hold? My master will be so pleased with me when I absorb them. They would have to be better for him than those of these mortals. So Ghost Rider gets it. You're a flesh eater, Stidge. A cannibal? He replies. Yes, indeed. Have been for as long as I can remember. For the longest time, I had to suppress my cravings. I was just a simple country preacher like my father before me. But the word I spread was a hollow one. I believed in a darker God. A God who would let me fill my stomach with the flesh I desired. This is dark stuff from Howard Mackie. This is really good stuff from Mackie. Then, years ago, I ran into my master, truly an emissary from the God I worshipped. The master gave me powers, and now I preach his word and do his bidding. Now I truly know who I am. I'm a predator, a feeder. This is excellent stuff from Mackie. Ghost Rider, of course, is going to have something to say about that. And he knocks Stidge around with his superpowers, of course. His words, though deranged, are full of conviction, thinks Ghost Rider. Can the same be said for my own words? So he's still in this period of existential angst and crisis. Since my rebirth, I've mouthed the same words over and over again. Without self-knowledge, how can my words hold any weight? I will continue to search for my source. Then my mission will have meaning. But until then, I will fight on. So fight he does for the innocent, For those who crave for vengeance, he's given Stidge a right beating, knocked a tooth out there. Stidge has a massive bruise on his cheekbone. Please, no more pain, begs Stidge. Great stuff from Texeira. Mackie and Texeira are really working well together here. Huge anchor image, close up again on Ghost Rider's skull. Ghost Rider says, "No, Stidge, not nearly enough. Your actions deserve much more than they deserve my penance stare. But your soul belongs to another, and my penance stare would do little. Physical pain must suffice." So this is a reveal that Stidge has sold his soul. Now, you can only sell your soul to the devil, right? A Faustian pact. So the figure in darkness is some kind of demon, some kind of devil. We can infer that much from what Ghost Rider is saying here. Ghost Rider warns him, threatens him, if our paths ever cross again, the pain you feel now will seem a kindness and will last for an eternity. And Mrs. Ketch is full of remorse. What have I done? You have done nothing, says the Ghost Rider as he carries her carefully. And we assume he carries her back to her house. And the next day, Dan is back to himself again. And a decision has been made to pack up Barbara's stuff. There was no resurrection. Danny says, "Barb would have wanted us to go on with our lives." And Mrs. Ketch replies, "Of course, you're right, Daniel. But until now, I was so wrapped up in my grief that I couldn't see it. It wasn't until I saw Ghost Rider fighting that awful Reverend Stidge that the fog lifted from my brain and my heart. I always thought Ghost Rider was evil because of the way he looked, but there he was fighting Stidge, who looked like goodness personified. That made me think of your sister. She never judged somebody by their appearances. Who knows? Maybe if Ghost Rider had been around on the night that your sister was hurt, he could have saved her." And of course, that's ironic because that was the night that Danny first transformed into Ghost Rider, but too late to save his sister. Anyway, now I realise how silly I've been to try and get Barb back, because in actuality, Daniel, I never really lost her. She'll always be with us in our hearts. And this is a really moving, affecting final panel here. Mark Texeira really excels at the expression of emotion on characters' in their body language, and most particularly on their faces. Like, this is a moment of emotional catharsis here. They're really working through, the pair of them, their grief. But as I said before, there's the family portrait, no father. Who is Danny's father? And what is the story regarding his not being there? Epilogue. So Reverend Stidge is thrown down some steps, presumably in that farmhouse again. Here's the figure in silhouette. He begs help from his master, and he implores him regarding the pain he's feeling. And the master in the chair replies, "Pain? You do not yet know the meaning of the word Stidge. Do not look at me. You do not deserve the privilege." Stidge begs, and the master here, and we get a look at his hand. It's black, it's muscled, full of sinews. There is long fingernails there as well. What is this creature in the chair? "I said, do not look at me," he exclaims, and he plucks Stidge's eye out, his left eye out. And Stidge begs, "No more, please. It wasn't my fault. It was him. It was the Ghost Rider. It was." And the figure stands up. "The Ghost Rider? You may live after all, Reverend. You have stirred a distant memory." And we see the eye, and it's all red. Intriguing stuff. Who is this figure? Next issue, Mephisto. So remember, Mephisto is the devil of the Marvel Universe. He is a figure who played quite a role in the original Ghost Riders comics. So now he's entering into Danny Ketch's Ghost Riders comic. And intriguing in terms of implications. Also, Zodiac's back, and the creation of a most unusual hero. And let me tell you, the guy who's going to turn up in the next issue is pretty wild stuff. So Howard Mackie, he's writing a comic here, a horror comic that is approved by the Comics Code Authority, but it goes into some dark areas like grief. Mrs. Ketch's grief here is a serious adult subject. Reverend Stidge's cannibalism, like that's proper horror genre territory. And next up, we've got the devil coming on board. and also, like I said, a most unusual hero. Hero, anti-hero, weirdo. We'll see in the next issue. Here we've got one page of letters, and we also get the full name of the cover artist. He signs his painting as Nelson, but there we get the full name, Nelson DeCastro. There you go. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Ghost Rider number 18. I think this is an excellent issue. I think everybody on the creative team is working together, like with a great synergy. There's a great unity of purpose. Like, this is a high point of the title. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.